This is ATN International News. And the headlines. Troops rescue pregnant Chibok abductee. In Gaza, school destruction traumatizes 10-year-old students. In South Korea, government to adjust plans on medical school admission raise. United Kingdom, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to tighten sick leave rules. United States, gun manufacturers seek Supreme Court hearing. In Australia, 13-year-old boy killed, suspected crocodile attack. Good to have you with us. And now to the rest of our stories. Israel launched an attack on Iranian soil on Friday, sources said, in the latest tit-for-tat exchange between the two arch foes, whose decades of shadow war has broken out in the open and threatened to drag the region deeper into conflict. Iranian media reported explosions, but an Iranian official told news agencies that those were caused by air defense systems. State media said 3 drones over the central area of Isfahan had been shot down. Israel's leadership and military were silenced early on Friday. The United States received notification before Israel's attack, a source familiar with the situation told the news agencies, and which came days after Iran launched an unprecedented strike on Israel with a barrage of drones and missiles. Most of those were shot down. Washington and other global powers had pressed to Israel not to respond or to ensure any further was limited to prevent a broader conflagration after the latest surge in violence was sparked by the airstrike on the Iranian embassy compound in Damascus on April the 1st that was blamed on Israel. That strike came against a backdrop of Iran's support for the Palestinian Hamas militant group, whose assault into Israel on October the 7th triggered Israel's invasion of Gaza. It was said on Friday that shortly after midnight, 3 drones were observed in the sky over Isfahan. The air defense systems became active and destroyed those drones in the sky. Israel's commitments to improve aid access to the Gaza Strip have had limited and sometimes no impact, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on Thursday as he pushed for urgent, meaningful and measurable progress to avert famine. The United Nations had long complained of obstacles to getting aid in and distributing it throughout Gaza during the 6-month-old war between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas, which rules the enclave of 2.3 million people. To avert imminent famine and further preventable deaths from disease, we need a quantum leap in humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. Food is essential, so are clean water, sanitation and health care, Guterres told the Security Council. Israel recently reopened the Erez crossing into the northern Gaza and allowed the temporary use of Ashdod port in southern Israel after U.S. President Joe Biden demanded steps to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He said that conditions could be placed on U.S. support for Israel if it did not act. An apparent progress in one area is often cancelled out by delays and restrictions elsewhere, said Guterres. For example, although the Israeli authorities have cleared more aid convoys, Those clearances are often granted when it is too late in the day to make deliveries and return safely, he said. So the impact is limited and sometimes nil. Traumatized 10-year-old students stare at the destroyed schools in Gaza, a grim reminder of the education and time with friends in the playground lost since the war erupted over 6 months ago. We would go out during recess, we would go to the classrooms to walk around. The principal would come to the classrooms, said the 5th grader Abed Al-Kara, who was inspecting the damage with his friend Mohammed Al-Fajem in Bani Suhaila, located in the east of Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip. He would give us the books. We would go there and see who is coming and going. We would stand in the school gates and we were leaving. Bullet-ridden buildings and papers scattered in the gutted classrooms and posters ripped up on October the 7th. Police in Pakistan's southern city of Karachi shot down a suicide bomber and a militant on Friday as they attacked a vehicle carrying 5 Japanese nationals, all of whom survived, the police spokesman said. Islamist militants seeking to overthrow the government and set up their own strict brand of Islamic rule have launched some of Pakistan's bloodiest attacks over the last few years, sometimes targeting foreigners such as Chinese. The Japanese survivors have been moved to a safe place in police custody, the police spokesperson Abra Hussein Balok said. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack from any militant group. Airlines quickly changed flight paths over Iran and diverted to alternate airports and returned planes to their departure points on Friday in response to airspace and airport closures after an Israeli attack on Iran, flight tracking data has shown. Iran closed its airports in Tehran, Shiraz, and Isfahan after the attack and cleared flights from the western portion of its airspace for a few hours after the attack, according to flight tracking website Flight Radar 24. By 4:45 GMT, the airports and airspace had reopened and closure notices posted on a U.S. Federal Aviation Administration database had been removed. Before the airports reopened, Fly Dubai said that it had cancelled its Friday flights to Iran. One of its earlier flights turned back to Dubai, it said, and an Iran Air flight from Rome to Tehran was diverted to Ankara, Turkey, Flight Radar 24 showed. Emirates, Fly Dubai, Turkish Air, Wizz Air, Abu Dhabi, and Belevia were among the carriers confirmed continuing to fly over the parts of Iran's airspace that remained open in the initial hours after the attack early on Friday. The tracking websites have shown we were monitoring the situation closely and will make changes to our flight and airport closures in Iran compounded a difficult week for Dubai-based carriers after record rainfall in the United Arab Emirates. Since Tuesday, 1,478 flights have been cancelled to and from Dubai, approximately 30% of all flights, according to Flight Radar 24. And news from Asia, Daniel Suidani, a prominent Solomon Islands critic of China who was the former Malata province premier, has been re-elected to the Provincial Assembly as counting continues on Friday in the key Pacific Island nations election. The elections are the first since Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare struck a security pact with China in 2022 and drew the Pacific Islands nations closer to Beijing in moves that concern the U.S. and Australia because of the potential impact on regional security. Results in national and provincial elections held in the Solomon Islands on Wednesday are being announced over the reclusive state. The music video for the song was aired on the state-controlled Korean Central TV on Wednesday. It features North Koreans of different backgrounds, ranging from children to troops and medical staff, exuberantly belting out lines such as "Let's sing Kim Jong-un, the great leader," and "Let's brag about Kim Jong-un, a friendly father." A live performance of the song, accompanied by an orchestra and watched by Kim, was also broadcast on site on state TV as part of the ceremony to mark the completion of building 10,000 new homes. The Kim family dynasty that has ruled North Korea since its founding after World War II have sought to strengthen their grips on power by building cults of personality around them. The release of the upbeat song titled "Friendly Father" comes at a time when the North Korean state media has recently changed the name it uses for a public holiday, prompting speculations that the move is part of efforts to solidify Kim's position. Instead of calling the annual public holiday celebrating the birth of the country's founder,